Have you ever felt it? That quiet, sinking feeling when you realize people don't treat you the way you treat them. You give, you compromise, you try to be the good one, and yet, somehow, you're the one left out, ignored, disrespected, even used. And the worst part? You convince yourself that being kind, loyal, or selfless is the reason you suffer. But what if I told you the real reason isn't out there? It's not just them, it's you. No, not because you're weak or foolish, but because there is a part of you, hidden, unconscious, that is allowing, even inviting, this to happen. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said, "Compassion is the basis of morality, but the world rewards power." And Carl Jung warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Today, we're going to unravel a truth that might hurt, but also set you free. You will always be exploited until you master yourself. And by the end of this journey, you'll know exactly why and what you can do about it. So, let me ask you, are you ready to face the truth, or will you keep playing the same game, expecting different results? It's easy to believe the world is simply cruel, that people are selfish, manipulative, or predatory by nature, and maybe some of them are. But what if I told you, most of the time, they don't even know they're doing it? Exploitation is rarely as deliberate as you think. Most people don't consciously plan to take advantage of you. They sense it, not through logic or malice, but through an ancient, wordless instinct. They feel it in your energy, your behavior, your unconscious willingness to give too much. Schopenhauer called this a tragic part of human interaction. When you don't fully know your own value, others won't either. In fact, they will begin to assign you the role you unconsciously present. And Jung deepened this insight by saying, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Without realizing it, you're stepping into roles you never agreed to. The helper, the pleaser, the self-sacrificer. It doesn't matter how pure your intentions are. If you are driven by the need to be accepted, the world will sense it and treat you accordingly. And here's where it gets darker. People aren't inherently evil for doing this. They are simply following the path of least resistance. Imagine walking into a room where your silence is louder than your words, where your actions scream, "I won't resist," even when you don't say a thing. People feel it. And without realizing, you offer yourself again and again, hoping to be valued. But the painful truth, the world rarely values what is freely given. And the tragedy is, most of us never notice we are the ones placing ourselves on the altar. But here's the question no one dares to ask. Why do we keep climbing back onto it again and again? Schopenhauer saw something most people never dare to admit. It's not just that others take from us, it's that we let them. But why? Why would anyone willingly allow themselves to be drained, used, or discarded? Schopenhauer believed that behind our so-called goodness, there is often a subtle fear. The fear of being unwanted, unloved, or invisible. So, we give. We overextended. We become generous, patient, forgiving, even when it's at our own expense. And slowly, without realizing it, we become addicted to being the good one. Because if we are good, we believe we will be needed. And if we are needed, maybe, just maybe, we will finally be safe. But the world does not work like that. Schopenhauer called this a kind of moral illusion, a belief that suffering nobly will lead to recognition or salvation. But in reality, it often leads only to quiet resentment, exploitation, and emotional exhaustion. And worse, those who are exploiting you may not even be villains. They are simply responding to the role you've silently chosen to play. You offer, they accept. You give, they take. And every time you lower your boundaries, not out of strength but out of fear, you silently tell the world, "It's okay, I don't matter as much." And here's the bitter irony. The more you try to buy love or acceptance through sacrifice, the less respect you gain. Schopenhauer saw this not as personal failure, but as a tragic flaw in the human condition. We think our suffering is a virtue, when sometimes it is merely a sign that we have forgotten our own worth. And yet, if forgetting your worth invites exploitation, what do those who are never exploited do differently? While Schopenhauer shows us the tragedy of unconscious self-sacrifice, Machiavelli exposes the brutal truth of why the world rewards others instead of you. It's not because they are better than you. It's not because they are smarter, kinder, or more deserving. It's because they know how to play. They know how to say no without guilt. They know when to give and when to withhold. They understand, as Machiavelli warned, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Before you reject this as too dark, understand, Machiavelli wasn't telling you to become cruel. He was telling you to stop being naive. In the real world, power is not granted, it is taken, and it is maintained by those who understand one simple rule. People respect those who know their value, and they exploit those who don't. The strongest don't need to shout. They don't need to constantly prove themselves. They move with quiet certainty, deciding when to help and when to step back. The reason others follow them isn't because they are loved unconditionally, but because they radiate self-mastery. Think about it. How many times have you admired someone, not just for their kindness, but for their ability to set boundaries, to protect their energy, to say enough without apology? Machiavelli knew that kindness without strength is not admired, it is pitied. And so, those who combine compassion with courage, who choose when to give and when to resist, become not pawns, but players. The question is, have you been living as the pawn, or have you learned to play? But there is one piece missing. Why do so many of us unconsciously refuse to become that player? Why do we cling to the victim's role, even when we know it's destroying us? Carl Jung would say, "It is not merely about the people around you. It's about the part of you that you refuse to see." Jung called it the shadow, the hidden side of your personality, filled with suppressed fears, rejected desires, and old wounds you've pushed out of sight for years. You think you are just being kind, but deep down, you may be acting out of fear. Fear of being abandoned, unloved, or alone. And so, you play the role, the pleaser, the self-sacrificer, the one who silently carries the burdens. Because if you're always needed, maybe they won't leave. If you suffer enough, maybe they'll love you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The victim role is deceptively comforting. It makes you feel morally superior. It lets you whisper, "At least I'm the good one." But is that truly kindness? Or is it a way to avoid responsibility? Standing up for yourself would mean facing rejection. It would mean risking being alone. It would mean stepping into the unknown, and that is terrifying. And so, like many, you may settle into this quiet suffering. But Jung warned, what you resist not only persists, but grows. Every time you avoid facing the shadow, it tightens its grip on your life. You keep meeting the same types of people, you keep feeling the same emptiness, and you keep repeating the same story. Not because you are doomed, but because you have yet to confront the part of you that keeps handing yourself over. The story could end there. You could accept this as fate, another tragic tale of the kind-hearted being devoured by the world. But that would be a lie. Because here is the part most people never realize. You have a choice. Not the choice to change others, not the choice to make the world kind, but the choice to reclaim your relationship with yourself. Jung, Schopenhauer, even Machiavelli, all point toward this in their own ways. They were not simply diagnosing the sickness, they were hinting at the cure. The truth is, you don't have to pick between being exploited or becoming a cold, manipulative player. That's a false dilemma. You are not bound to be either the lamb or the wolf. The third option is something most people never consider: self-mastery. Not domination, not passive submission, but the ability to act, not from fear, not from guilt, but from conscious choice. This means confronting your shadow, learning to say no without shame, choosing when to give and when to hold back, not out of spite, but out of respect for yourself and for others. It means accepting that, yes, some people will walk away when you stop giving them easy access to your energy. And yes, it will hurt, but it will also free you. Because those who stay, those who respect you, will no longer be there out of convenience, but out of genuine connection. And that is how you begin to turn the pattern around. Not by changing them, but by finally choosing yourself. Yet knowing this choice exists is only the beginning. The real challenge is, how do you actually start mastering yourself in a world that keeps pulling you back into the old pattern? The answer isn't found in quick fixes. It's not about reading one more book or forcing confidence overnight. It begins exactly where you've always been afraid to look: within. Jung called it shadow work, facing the parts of yourself you've denied, the anger you've suppressed, the fear you've ignored, and even the pride you secretly hold for being the one who always suffers. It means asking, what part of me believes I must endure to be loved? What part of me fears that saying no means being abandoned? Schopenhauer would tell you, you must stop waiting for the world to reward your quiet sacrifices. The world isn't watching, but you are, and you will suffer until you honor yourself. Machiavelli would tell you, set boundaries not to hurt, but to survive. A kind heart without the ability to say enough will be consumed. So how do you start? By practicing conscious giving, by learning to choose when you give, how much you give, and to whom, without guilt. By noticing when you are about to act from fear, and instead pausing, breathing, and choosing. And yes, some people may not like this new version of you. Some may walk away. But the ones who stay, they will stay because of respect, not because you are easy to use. And slowly, without fanfare, you will feel it, the quiet birth of dignity. But dignity is only the beginning. Because what you're really after isn't just boundaries, it's freedom. Freedom from the pattern. Freedom from the fear of being unloved. Freedom from the quiet desperation that's been shaping your life when you thought you were just being good. And here's the truth that most never learn. You will always be exploited by the world until you choose to stop exploiting yourself first. Because every time you betray yourself to gain approval, you become your own manipulator. No one can steal from you what you don't first offer willingly. Schopenhauer saw it. Jung saw it. Machiavelli saw it. The world isn't fair. People will take advantage if you leave the door wide open. But this isn't a call to harden your heart, to become bitter or cruel. It's a call to own yourself, fully, consciously, unapologetically. Not to fight the world, but to move through it with the quiet power of someone who no longer needs to be saved, nor to prove anything to anyone. When you master yourself, when you stop negotiating your worth, something strange happens. The world still tries. Some will still test you. But the ones who matter, the ones who are meant to walk beside you, will recognize you. Not as someone to use, but as someone to respect. And you, for the first time, will no longer feel like a pawn waiting to be moved by someone else's hand. So I'll ask you, right here, right now, will you keep hoping the world will change? Or will you finally change your relationship with yourself? Because the choice has always been yours.